Hello and welcome to my Wonder Guide. You can call it part 3, but in this Wonder Guide we're gonna be talking about all the rest, which are production wonders. Now, if you would go to your Wonder screen and go to Overview, you will see you have a lot of wonders we did not discuss in the previous video, which are exactly meant to boost up your production. Now on this video, long story short, let's begin. So the first wonder we're gonna be talking about with you today would be the Stonehenge. Stonehenge is probably the first one you acquire in this game in total. So Stonehenge has some nice boosts to it. First of all, this wonder is a statue wonder, which is very good, especially early game when you don't have enough military statue wonders. You can use this to boost your military wonders, because those which boost your attack and power are requiring to have a statue wonder active to make the boost more decent. Now, all the health wonders, which we talked about before, they use Fortress usually as the synergy booster to their special second trait. But as we talked about it, the Fortress wonders are not so good at the moment. Maybe they will get a revamp later to make a decent health boost and make it worthwhile to invest in those. But so far, Stonehenge, we're talking about it, and it's amazing because it's a statue. Also, it's a temple, and if you find any synergy with the temples when this is active for production, more likely it's going to be for production, this will also be useful. So in the time when you don't have to do battles or on the first level of the Alliance Treasure Hunt, you don't need military wonders. The first level is very easy, and so you can still have active these production wonders to make the most of your production and boost up your civilization. Now let's go to the tab of info. Now what do we have here? My Stonehenge at the moment is level 12, and on this particular level, it, as you see, there's the upward tab. So on this level, it produces, it gives me a 25.5% boost to my coins, or we can call it gold, production in the city, which is very decent boost and very usable. I use Stonehenge most of the time, basically all the time, and because my wonder setup allows me to still use it even on harder levels of Alliance Treasure Hunt. Also to help you boost your civilization tech tree or upgrade your secondary wonders, this Stonehenge will give you 2 research points in 1 day, which is quite a decent amount, especially if you're early game. Now, this is constant, but the special trait for every active temple will get more and more as you have more temples active. So basically, before you hit the production time, as you see, I have 7 hours before I finish production here. On the last 5 minutes, you can put up all your temples which you have inactive for just those 5 minutes, and you will get the most of this special trait. So for example, if you have like 4 or 5 more temples, you can put them on just few minutes before you hit the production on the Stonehenge, and you will get the most of the research points of this particular wonder, which is very decent boost, and I highly recommend you on using that. Now, Stonehenge, as every other wonder in this game, requires like research points and goods to make an upgrade. Also, it has a max level of 30. So, highly recommendable wonder, really decent one to start with, and even in the late game. As you see, I don't level it anymore. Level 12 is so far enough for me. The boost is very high and very useful. Now let's move on to the Hanging Gardens. Now the Hanging Gardens is one of the 3 nature wonders. Now, nature wonders are Tower of Pisa and, as we talked before, the Sherwood Forest. Now, Hanging Gardens, as you see, is also level 12 for me, but I'm usually never using it, and I will explain why. Now, Hanging Gardens is actually a decent wonder, like a Stonehenge, especially if you're early game. You will always lack gold and food in the main city to progress through the tech tree and build up your upgrades, especially when you change era and some upgrades became very costly, like you would need millions of gold and food. So this is very decent to boost your food production, because food is considered by many players a lot harder to get than coins. I do not disagree with that, but the main difference between gold and the food is that you actually have to put up production for your food, but coins are produced automatically when you're offline even, so you don't need to bother about those. So the only hard part of food is that you have to log in each few hours, once in a few hours, let's say that way, and just put up a production. So not really hard, is it? Now also in level 12, they go simultaneously with the Stonehenge. They go by the same percentage every level up. And as you see, my Stonehenge on level 12 had 25.5% of gold boost, and Hanging Gardens has 25.5% of food boost, exactly on the same level 12. Now, as the bonus trait, it boosts the output of all food productions in capital city by 8% per every other active palace. Now this can be useful also early game, because you can boost up your food production quite high for a few days when you really need it, and then you do not bother about food as much for some time. So sometimes, from time to time, I might still also use it. I don't, because I kinda don't need it. My food production is on a decent level, and since I'm now in the latest era possible, I'm just slowly collecting goods before the new era gets released. But if you're early game, as you see, I leveled it up to level 12, this one is very useful, early game. Now, this wonder is also a palace. Like it was nature, it's also a palace. So it needs palaces to boost that food production, and that means this wonder, if you put it in active, it will count towards this boost. And now also what is very cool about Hanging Gardens is that it grants 1 worker. Now this is a very nice, especially early game when you don't have a lot of workers and you need just more people to do some sort of stuff like put up a production, food production, rebuilding troops and everything. So workers are essential, and it's really nice to see that this wonder is giving you a worker. Now, let's switch to the website and I will show you these two in more detail. Now, as you see, we're back on the website, and here we can see the Stonehenge once again. And it will show you that it's just a rare wonder, so which means you can get it more often than, of course, legendary ones, because for this wonder to appear, you just need to catch the week it's promoted when you have a high chance of getting it, and each 10 orbs you get a 1 rare blueprint. So basically, to get a Stonehenge will not be a big of a problem until you go for your legendary wonder. To 80 orbs, you will definitely get 1 or 2 or 3 of those on the way. If you use a lot of orbs that week, it's promoted. Now, here we can see that the maximum boost on the level 30 will be 36.5%, which is very decent, very high boost, very nice to have, no matter your early game or your late game. Gold is very essential, and you will need lots of it, like millions of it, and the more you can get, the better. And also, as I said before, since this is a statue, you can use it with your other military wonders, because this wonder will boost them to make more power for your troops. Now, but if we switch to the Hanging Gardens, we will see that this one, I don't know why this website shows that it gives you just one worker all the time, but it's not the case. Hanging Gardens gives you, in total, 3 workers when you reach max level, so basically 1 worker each 15 levels. You start with the 1 worker on the level 1 here, you end up getting a second one on level 15, and you end up getting your last and third one on level 30. Now, this wonder, if you really struggle with goods, these 2 wonders will be decent for you, and you can use them for 2 to 3 days per week when you are on the Alliance Treasure Hunt level 1, because you don't need military boost as much. It's very easy, and you also can use this in between Alliance Treasure Hunts. But then you will switch to the military, win your battles, and you could switch to these wonders back. I usually don't suggest investing a lot in the production wonders first, because it's more used to firstly invest highly in your military wonders like Artemis Temple and Chichen Itza maybe, but Chichen Itza, as I told you, is very good on its own, just on the level 4, so we don't need it as high. Yeah, but anyway, these wonders are quite decent to boost the capital city to basically next level and help you out with the standard goods, which you'll always be lacking as you will progress through the tech tree if you don't make pauses. Now, let's switch to the game. Now, about the pauses. Usually high-end players, when they end up in an era, they make a pause, and like for 3-4 weeks, somebody may be more, somebody may be less, but they just stay there and just harvest goods, harvest gold, harvest food. Because this helps a lot to avoid unnecessary struggles in the next era. But there are certain things I will tell you about here in the middle, so you would understand the idea. For example, you're in the Age of Franks, and you finished it, the tech tree. There is no point to stay on it when you finish it. Why? Because it's all about the Mayan allied culture, and when the allied culture ends, there is no point to stay and collect those goods. It's better to switch to feudal, which is the next era, and make a pause when you finish feudal, because then you will collect Viking resources right in the middle of an allied culture, and you would use those resources later in Iberia to upgrade and don't struggle with the Viking culture. Now, so the pauses are needed, but always in the middle of an allied culture. Don't stop for too much, or don't stop at all when you finish an allied culture. There is really no point to that, unless you're really broke and you don't have no gold, no food, no nothing in your main city. But that would not be the case most of the time. Now, let's move on to the topic of this video. I will make a hints and tips and tricks video in the future. So now, one of the most useful wonders is Lighthouse of Alexandria. It's very useful, especially towards the end game, especially towards the highest eras possible. You will not be using it early game, it's not so needed over there, unless you have Colossus of Rhodes. We will talk about it in a minute. Now, this wonder is really great because it gets you more out of your trade offers. So, for example, if you usually trade goods, you for example sell 400 of some certain good and you get 400 back when you buy from somebody else the good you really need. Now this helps you a lot because this you still sell the same amount you sell and you still get the same amount of coins. But when you buy something from somebody, it gives you extra. In my case, on level 6, it gives me 11.1% extra trade goods from that offer. And so, when you progress through eras, you will see that you would need the resources from previous eras, your era, but those you do not produce, like, for example, if you're carpenter, you produce wood, you produce wardrobes, you produce that stuff, but for example, you need peppers a lot, books a lot, like pepper or salt a lot. Yeah, if you're a carpenter, for example, we don't choose profession in this game. The game chooses it for you. So the most workshops you have, like for example, if you have available 4 carpenter shops, that means you are a carpenter in this game. So this gives you a bigger boost, an extra 5% for every naval. Now, you will always use this with the Colossus of Rhodes, so you will also have this 5%, always have these 5% most of the time. And it also grants you 1 worker for trade in your trade window. Now, let's go to the trading, and I will show you how that looks like. Now, I have something here sold. At the moment, I don't have available workers, but here in the Age of Sicily, I have 7 dock walkers, which allow me to trade with other people. Now, if I go here, as you see, I trade 500. I trade 500 of these. 500 is backs. Yeah, and so normally, if I would not have a Lighthouse of Alexandria, I would be buying back 500, for example, peppers from this nice little player here. But since I have a lighthouse, it gives me 581 back when I buy it. You might say it's not much, but it is, and it makes a huge difference, especially in the highest eras, because you would need a lot of these goods you do not produce as much as, for example, as I am a carpenter, I produce tons of wardrobes, but I don't have any others normally produced. So this, when I progressed through the tech tree, was normally helpful to don't struggle with those goods getting. Now, highly recommendable wonder, very decent, and let's return to the overview. Now, I will talk now about Colossus because they come kinda together. They are the only naval wonders we have. Now, one thing I missed here in Alexandria, that it's naval. We have only 2 naval wonders at the moment, which is Colossus of Rhodes and Lighthouse of Alexandria. They synergize with one another, and also it's a temple. So temple, as I told you before, it's usable for synergizing with other production wonders. And now let's move on to the Colossus. Now the best thing about Colossus is that's a statue. You can use it with your military wonders as well, like I told you about the Stonehenge. Now this will give you a decent boost to your military wonders, so your troops will get more powerful. Now, it's also a naval. A naval synergizes with Lighthouse of Alexandria, and here, in case of Colossus, you will need all the synergy with the naval that you can get, because this is probably the best wonder to acquire your blueprints, your gears, your orbs for wonder creation a lot faster. Now, what this does is that this gives you more gears for donation to other player wonders. Now, if you go here in the World Wonders and you choose Help Others, you will see usually there is 5 per day, right? So 5 per day you can donate somebody something. Now, we do exchanges in my alliance, I run my own alliance, and so usually we exchange, and now if I would normally just donate somebody something, I would get like standard amount of orbs. But since I have the Colossus, when I donate materials or RP points, research points in other words, or something else to other players, I get more gears. So you still do that exchange, right? To get your gears, to craft your orbs, to make yourself new wonders unlocked, and just get more blueprints if you need them for upgrade. But Colossus just gives you more from it every time you trade. And this is highly useful. This will help you a lot, and you will build up your orbs a lot faster. Now I'm completely after Colossus now, and I'm waiting for the next promo where I will be able to get it to the next level by getting its blueprint. Now, as we talked, its special trait is that it synergizes with the naval wonders, and now for every naval wonder active you get 5% more, which is a normally high and decent amount for these gears requirement. Now you get gears for many things in the game, but to get it from the nations is outstanding. And last but not least, it gives you 1 compass per day. Now you will get more compasses per day as you level it up, and from it, yeah, but this is very decent, and you would want to get this as fast as possible if you want to get your wonders faster and higher. Now this is very useful. As you see, I lack the blueprint, so waiting for the next promo, and research points, I will just put them over time here, closer to that day. So now, let's switch to the website and discuss these 2 naval wonders. Now, welcome to the, well, Rise of Cultures wiki. Here you can get more into this wonders, information, everything. Now, here it shows everything I already told you, and if we move on, you will see that, for example, Lighthouse of Alexandria will give you 2 dock workers on each 15 levels. Now that was the same thing with the Hanging Gardens. It gave you 1 worker each 15 levels. And now here, each 15 levels, Lighthouse gives you 2 workers. 1 worker plus. So at the level 1 you get 1, at the level 15 you get 2, and then at the level 30 you get your last and third one. It's very useful to have more of them. But I doubt that we need like 3 really at the moment, because you'll still be bound to the amount of coins you can have at the same time. But still, it might be useful when you buy previous era goods, and they're of course cheaper. And for example, in Sicily, if you have your max like 120,000 coins, yeah, you can buy like 6, 7 at the same time goods from the previous era from other players. Now this 20% boost to the when you buy something from somebody is actually outstanding and will help you a lot when you progress. Now this is highly recommendable, especially because it synergizes with the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the best we have here in the game now, to help us out, because it's actually very hard and very long to get your wonder blueprints. You craft your orbs, you need a lot of them, and you always lack them. So to have Colossus to boost that up is highly beneficial. Now Colossus, what we can see here, it gives you +1 compass for each 10 levels. So now on level 10 you would have like 2 compasses, and on the level 3 you will have, on the level 20, you will have 3 compasses. And now on the level 30 you will have 4 compasses. Can you imagine? You get a 42% boost to the gears acquirement when you donate them to help others section, which is outstanding, and it's a very high boost. Now I'm fully into it. I hope to level it up till the max as fast as I can, and this wonder is actually the best here to make your progress easier and faster, because you need wonders for everything. You need wonders to boost your military, to boost your production. Basically, without wonders in the end eras, you will not be able to normally progress. Now you would need wonders, and you need them in big quantities, and so especially with these blueprints, which are rare and stuff. So having Colossus is like one of the highest priorities in this game. Now let's return to the game and speak about the other production wonders. Now here we return with the Tomb of Mausolus. So Tomb of Mausolus is kinda strange wonder for me, but it's useful because it gives you goods and stuff. So we can see that Tomb of Mausolus is a temple, so temples synergize with others which are temple required production wonders. Now this grants you a mystery chest which can include research points when you complete any quest or task up to 5 times per day. So this chest contains 1 RP point at level 1. I never leveled this up because I never needed. But if you're early game and you get it, it's still worthwhile to use it because you will do quests and tasks every day up to 5 times per day most of the time. So on my level 1 RP point with a 40% chance to almost never get it, like 5%, and also food in quite a decent amount, like 500,000 of food, so not bad. For level 1, and if we times 5 this, you get 2.5 million this, and basically you can get like up to 5 to 10 research points per day. So this is kinda decent because first of all you have this season pass in which you will have quests every day, and you will have 5 quests stable every day here. Now you will also have events, like I have here active, as you can see, 1 event. You'll also have events, and it will have quests in there, and you will also have main quests when you unlock new era. So this is situational, and in certain situations, if you need more food you struggle, or you need just these RP points when you're like early eras. I would not suggest this in the late eras, but if you're early era, you can actually get a decent boost from here because these RP points will be essential to your progress. Now also what it does, it gives you like your main production good, like I'm a carpenter for example, I produce wardrobes now in Sicily. It will give me 300 wardrobes in 1 day. Now this is useless because I don't need it. I produce like, if we multiply, I produce 1,000 in 2 hours almost. Yeah, something like that, like maybe 980 wardrobes per hour without any boosts, so I don't really need this. And just 300 plus per 24 hours is kinda too low to get my interest in here. And so also it produces 100 wardrobes per every other active temple. Now if you go for production wonders, you might have some few tables active, and you might get here like 800 or 1020 or something like that, these wardrobes. But is it useful? No, because your main good that you produce, like if I'm a carpenter, produce wardrobes, I produce it in such big quantities, so I actually don't need it because I have too much of them, so I have too much of them all the time. But I can't say the same about other goods. So if this would produce like peppers, for example, in Sicily, or books, which I don't produce as much, this would be more useful, but still, I would not recommend wasting time on this unless you're early era and this is the only one that you have. But you might find some uses, like I said, from here, because you will still do activities every day, and these 5 chests are actually nice just to have, because you may do it this way. This is how the pro players probably use this. So basically what it does, like a player switches this to active, makes those quests and tasks, and gets these chests, and that switches this wonder off. That's the best way to use it, because it's pointless to keep it on for the full day. You don't need it and you will never need it, but just before you do your tasks, you can switch it to on, and then you might do the tasks, get the goods from the chest, and just switch it off. So that's basically the point. Now, not much to say about it anymore, because it's very situational. It's usable, like I said, once per day for a few minutes before you do the tasks. You do the task while this is active, and you get your goods from there. So this way it's useful, but don't keep it active for 24 hours. It's completely useless and not needed. Now, special we have some special like wonders which belong to certain allied cultures, like Cheops Pyramid. Let's move to this one. This is nice and decent when you just started Egypt and if you have like basically no other better wonders. Now what this does is it boosts the output of all goods productions in Egypt by 10%. It of course gets higher with as you level it up and produces 100 of each previous era good in one day, which is hard to say that this is useful, especially if you just started Egypt. You will be like very far off in the very early start of the game, and those goods you will kind of have enough. You don't need them like as much as the late game goods, and but still it's useful when you're early game and we just started Egypt, and now also it produces 60 of each previous era good per every other active temple. Now, as you see, every production wonder, most of them, not every, they use temple as the synergy. So, I do not recommend investing in it for just particular reason that Egypt, as all of the allied cultures, they last just for 2 eras. And Egypt is one of the easiest in the game to complete, so basically if you would invest here like research points, materials, everything, you would better spend them on something really useful throughout the whole game. Now, just boosting this just for Egypt, just for 2 actually small eras, I can show you, it's just really unnecessary and waste of your time and resources. Now, Egypt, yeah, Egypt was here. I don't even remember where it started at the moment. So this is where it ends, and it starts in Minoan era. So as you see, Stone Age, Bronze Age, you can basically do this in just a few days. Then you start Minoan, and then you unlock the Egypt right here, which is Rise of Egypt. And so basically all of these don't need much RPs to unlock, and all your upgrades will be super easy and super cheap, and yes, of course you will not produce golden food like in millions, but this is kinda pointless to invest in just this. And as you see at the end here, it's Egyptian consensus and you will never go there again. You will, but just for some certain little amount of goods to just get them on the wonder upgrade, and that's it. So this is actually this Cheops Pyramid is useful during the Egypt time, but I would not suggest investing in it. You can use it if you don't have other wonders and you just like the boost. You can use it on level 1 for 10%. You will still get more goods. You will still be happy with that, and you will still get 100 of each previous era goods, and you will still have these temple synergy goods, you know, so this is useful, but to invest in it, don't waste your resources, from my opinion. Better spend your resources to something really useful. Now, let's see the Tomb of Mausolus on the website where you can get all the info about it. Now, for example, here about this chest with the research points and food, you would see that at the max level, this will give you 25% to 1 RP, 39 to 2, and 3 RPs at 15% chance to get, and 21% of getting this food. Now, this is not worth investing tons of resources to level this, and tons of time also to level this to the max level just to get that boost. And like you saw, it produces the main good of your city, which is, yes, of course, at first it's like just a standard 300 for example, and in the end you get 1000 per day, but still, this is not worth it. because I can make 1,000 in 2 hours, and there is no point just to keep this wonder just for that. So yeah, and let's switch to the Cheops Pyramid here, just so you would see the stats of this wonder. Now, each level has some +% to the Egypt goods, and it will end up in the having a quite high 36.5%. But still, as I told you, every allied culture works only for 2 eras, and after that it will be useless, and all the resources you spent on the Cheops Pyramid will be just thrown out like in a garbage, because you will never use Cheops when you finish Egypt, and so this is not a good investment plan. I would highly suggest to avoid it, and if you need it, as I told you, you can use it just on level 1, just for those 10% and some extra goods from previous era. Useful. And now, here we are done with the wonders of the ancient world. Now, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in part 2, where we will discuss wonders of the great empires, which also have production wonders, and I hope we will bind it together with the wonders of stories and myth. So see you soon, thank you for watching, like and subscribe for more content. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day ahead.